I, 26 female, recently got engaged to my fiancé 27 male, and his sister, 30 female, is upset she isn't my maid of honor. Help. I've been dating my fiancé for 2+ years and he recently proposed to me. It was easy for me to say yes. He treats me well. He communicates respectfully when we disagree, a big thing for me, and the emotions are all there. He's my guy and I'm excited to be his wife and to really start our lives together. Now that we've gotten into the beginning stages of planning, we've run into a major stumbling block in regards to the bridal party. I've been building a relationship with my future sister-in-law, who I will call Megan, but I don't feel extremely close to her yet. She recently had a beautiful baby girl, which has understandably taken up 120% of her time, and prior to the birth of her daughter was extremely reserved. When we spend time together, I try my best to get to know her, but it's been a slow process given the differences in our personalities. I see us being able to get to a place where we are close ultimately. But if I'm being honest, I'm not there yet. With that said, she recently expressed to my significant other that she was hurt by the fact that I didn't bring up my bridal party when significant other asked her husband to be a groomsman. This occurred only a few days after we became engaged, and I wasn't prepared to make any kind of decision at the time of that discussion. I communicated that to her directly, but also apologized for hurting her and expressed that she would definitely be one of my bridesmaids, but wasn't ready to make that announcement because I was feeling bad about the maid of honor role. The reason for this is that my cousin, who for years would have been a shoo-in for the role of maid of honor, betrayed my trust several times despite second chances, and I don't feel comfortable giving her any role in my wedding beyond that of a guest. I'm still emotionally grieving this fact. She was the close thing I had to a sister growing up, but it's the reality I have to cope with. Megan then went on to explain what the role of maid of honor means to her and implied that she wanted the role. Because of the reasons above, it didn't feel right to take her up on that offer. I certainly appreciated it. Being a maid of honor is a lot of responsibility, and the fact she wanted to take that on says a lot about her feelings for me, but it didn't feel like the right choice for me. Having tackled the emotional stuff surrounding my cousin and coming to terms with reality, I knew in my gut that my brother's wife of 7 years, who I will call Kristen, was the person I wanted to ask to be my maid of honor. I've known her for a long time and really feel a familial bond with her. My goal was to communicate to Megan, given the implied offer to be maid of honor, that I was going to choose Kristen, but that I still valued Megan and our growing relationship. I thought I had done a good job presenting my decision in a respectful and kind manner, as she told me to my face that she understood my decision without a hint of hurt. However, I found out from my significant other that that was not the case, because when he asked her, she expressed she felt rejected. My significant other then began to rail at me for hurting Megan's feelings, that he was upset with me for rejecting his sister, and that he needed to detach from me for a while to deal with his own feelings, and that he still loves me even though he's mad at me. We haven't said more than 2 words to each other since yesterday afternoon, and I'm going stir crazy. I'm upset that Megan didn't tell me her feelings to my face during our discussion. I feel really unsupported by my future husband, and I'm really starting to dread all this wedding planning stuff. Any advice out there? Yeah, OP, look, to me this is a red flag. But I'm not gonna say throw the whole wedding out yet. First, talk to your significant other. You know, his space that he wants. F that, he doesn't need space. He needs to talk to you, because what he needs to do is stand by you. This is your bridal party. She doesn't get to bully you into picking her for maid of honor. That's not how it works. And him railing on you because you hurt his sister's feelings. Well, she's a 30-year-old woman. I'm sure she can get over it. And instead of standing up for his hurt sister's feelings, he should be standing up for you and telling his sister, just deal with it. You're not going to be maid of honor. She chose you as a bridesmaid and that's it. Do you want to be a part of the bridal party? That's what you get. And if in that conversation he gaslights you or he refuses to acknowledge your feelings, then it turns into a huge red flag, and I would definitely reconsider this whole wedding and engagement. He needs to be detached from you. Well, how about forever? And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Sudani Mosley says, quote, I'm upset that Megan didn't tell me her feelings to my face during our discussion. End quote. Why? If she did, we'd all be telling you how unreasonable she was being, demanding to be your maid of honor. She's allowed to be hurt, she's allowed to feel rejected, and she's allowed to share these feelings with her brother. Quote, I feel really unsupported by my future husband. End quote. Yeah, 'cause you are. He's the real problem here, not his sister. And OP responds, you make a valid point with your first comment. In retrospect, she did handle her emotions well. I'm going to try to have a conversation with my significant other when he's back from work. Ruwold says, so your problem is not with your sister-in-law. She handled the disappointment with grace and dignity. Your problem is that your fiancé is throwing a fit on her behalf. Did you explain to him why you made the decision in the same way you explained it to her? There must be some kind of missing communication here, because his reaction seems rather over the top. Also, do I understand correctly that you kind of implied earlier that sister-in-law could be your maid of honor, but then changed your mind later? Is that the part that's making him so upset? And OP responds, I said she'd be one of my bridesmaids, not maid of honor. Thanks for your insight. Princess Awesomepant says, the thing that worries me the most is that your significant other is giving you, the woman he wants to marry, the silent treatment because his sister is BT3rd that you didn't pick her to be maid of honor. This is a bad start to your wedding planning, and it will only get worse. Your significant other should have your back 100%. Think about what might happen if his family decides to do something that you don't agree with. There was a post a while back where a woman was having marital issues because she refused to allow her in-laws to spank her child. There was another one where the mother-in-law gave her too young to be vaccinated granddaughter chicken pox on purpose. This could be your future. And Deleted says, your significant other thinks his sister's feelings about not being chosen for a role she is in no way entitled to are more important than you getting to decide who you want next to you at your own wedding. I'd be concerned too. If he won't stand with you on this, what else is he going to let his family overrule you on? Does he understand that he's doing more to create bad blood between you and his sister by taking this tack rather than encouraging her to see the upside in being a bridesmaid? Which is hardly a snub. And how come he gets to pick out his groomsmen without interference, but you get the silent treatment? Hopefully he realizes he's seriously overreacting and reverses course, because if not, you may need to put further plans on hold. Update. First off, thank you for all of the awesome advice. It reaffirmed that my decision was a sound one and gave me a firm ground for my conversation with my significant other, which really validated my initial assessment that even when we're having a conflict, we're respectful. I brought up my right to pick my maid of honor and that I was feeling unsupported as my significant other's future wife, to which significant other explained he wasn't trying to take away my right or tell me to change my mind. Really, this initially confused me because his actions implied otherwise. His emotional outburst wasn't supportive given what I knew about the situation, and it felt like emotional manipulation. I followed up with the question, what did Megan actually say to trigger this reaction? Because based on what I understand, I did the best I could given the circumstances. His reply made me realize what the real problem was. In my attempt to be kind and couch my language, the way I phrased things came off as if I was lying. So Megan thought I wasn't interested in being a friend to her in any capacity. As this was not the case, which I thoroughly explained to my significant other, he was able to recognize he misunderstood my side of the conflict and apologized. He was fighting with me because he wanted me to have a relationship with his sister, which I can appreciate, though his method was unfair, and I explained that he can't stonewall me every time his sister's feelings are hurt. It doesn't serve the goal of solving the conflict between us. He agreed and apologized again. He went on to explain that he saw things from my perspective. I'm going to try to communicate with Megan some more and reassure her that I do want a relationship with her, but that for me it takes a lot of time. So for now, my red flag is tentatively resolved because I trust my significant other when he says he understands why he was wrong and apologized for his actions with the promise of not doing that again. Alright, so it seems like OP and her significant other were able to get past this. They worked through it, they talked about it, he apologized, he understood her point of view, and they're moving forward. But unfortunately that's not the case, because 10 months after the update, OP made a post that has been deleted and I could not recover the text from it that states they broke the engagement. However, I have been able to curate something from other of OP's responses to other posts. So let's finish this story with that. The deleted post has the title, I, 27 female, am fresh out of a broken engagement. Advice on how to move forward. I recently experienced the breakdown of my 1-year engagement, 3-year relationship. It has been a heartbreaking, scary journey for the past 4 months. I took some time off from work. I let myself sleep in, indulge in food I like, and watch movies, cocoon for a little bit. Then I let people know. This is still the thing I continue to struggle with, letting people in on my current context. And that's hard because the person I saw spending the rest of my life with is no longer with me. I still feel grief and am mourning the relationship and the future I envisioned with him. I did settle all of the logistical stuff as quickly as possible. I had made the mistake of co-signing a car loan for my ex and settling that allowed me not to have to interact with my fiancé and focus on myself. I was fortunate to have family who were willing to take me in for 3 months while I recovered and went apartment hunting, and now I'm starting to get into the longer-term stuff, engaging in hobbies I used to enjoy, seeking counseling, and focusing on my health and fitness. This isn't going to be easy. Some days feel crappy, like the world has ended and nothing will ever get better. Some days I feel okay. I try to remind myself that this is temporary and that things will change. At my worst moments, I found comfort in this quote I found randomly online. You have been given this mountain in order to show others it can be moved. I also think about my relationship as an outsider, and one thing I saw was that most of our fights were started by my significant other. So, these little steps in reevaluating things have helped me. And that's all the information I could properly curate to give you guys a closure context, which basically tells us that OP has been dealing with the ending of her relationship one step at a time. She still doesn't have everything sorted out. And not every day is a good one, but she's well on her way. So on that note, OP, I wish you the best in the future. Story 2. I, 25 female, ex-boyfriend 32 male moved out with his daughter 6 female. I am devastated and don't know what to do. I am pretty sure I already know the answer to this question, but I am wondering if anyone has been in a similar situation before and can give me any advice. Backstory. I met my ex 5 years ago when I was about to be 24 and he was 27. He was the single father to a 1-year-old daughter, Sarah. The mother of his child had passed away when she was only 3 months old. I was only 24 and weary about getting involved with a man with a kid, but we really clicked. As he was his daughter's primary caregiver, I met her pretty early on in our relationship. I never knew if I even wanted to have children, but Sarah really changed things for me. We eventually moved in together and I have been helping raise Sarah since. My ex worked a lot and I was still a student, so Sarah and I spent a lot of time together when she was young. Once I graduated, I was able to work remotely. So, when Sarah is not in school, I am typically the one taking care of her. We are incredibly close. Unfortunately, things began going south with my ex about 6 months ago. His work schedule is really hard on me and I struggled with the amount of time we were able to see each other. I know that sounds selfish. I think my nagging became too much for him and over the course of 6 months, it feels like I really pushed him away. Over the weekend, he sat me down and told me that he is not in love with me anymore and he doesn't think he can continue our relationship. That is a whole other issue that I am dealing with. I mean, we lived together and raised a child together and now everything is flipped upside down. As upset as I am about this breakup, my main concern is Sarah. I truly do consider her my child. I mean, I've been the closest thing to her mother for the last 5 years. She doesn't know anything but me. My heart physically hurts. I asked my ex what would happen to her and said that he hoped I would still be a part of her life, and of course I want that. I just don't know how to even go about it. How do you co-parent with your ex when you're not technically a parent? I guess my biggest concern is him moving away with her and me not having any rights. Or him getting a new girlfriend and deciding it's easier without his ex being so close with his daughter. I am just stressed to the max right now. I have to find a place to live and basically restructure my entire life. But all I can think about is being able to be in this little girl's life forever. Is there any way I can make that happen? Sorry for all the rambling. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. Well, OP, it is a tough situation and of course you guys know me. I am going to advocate for who I think is the most important person of this story, and that is Sarah. Now from your post and from what you say, of course it's understandable how much you love this girl and that you want to be in her life forever. And yeah, your ex could just up and disappear or cut you out of her life if he so ever choose. And how to avoid that? The only way I see it is if you would be able to legally adopt Sarah. Now personally, I don't think this is a crazy idea. It sounds kinda out there, but the thing is that just like you said, you have been her mother. Sure, you are not the biological mother who brought her into this world, but you have been her mother for everything else. So why not make it legal? Your boyfriend or your ex clearly trusted you enough to be in her life. And as a parent myself, I'm sure he understands that removing you from her life would only be negative for her, regardless of how he feels about the relationship. So if I was in your shoes, OP, I'd honestly just say, hey, how about I adopt and we co-parent? Personally, I think this would be healthier for Sarah than having musical chairs as the mother role. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they say. Layla Clemens says, these questions can only be answered by the child's father. Once you've had time to calm down and deal with your life change, meet him in person. Get coffee or something with him and talk about what he'd be okay with involving Sarah. This will be your opportunity to ask any and all questions. Consider bringing up legal adoption even if you want. This would be the best time to figure it all out. And OP responds, I want to sit down and have a talk about the long term with him. I will bring up legal adoption, and now I'm wishing I would have a few years ago, honestly. We had discussed marriage in the future and I had just assumed we'd always be together or I'd adopt her after we were married. But I should have pushed for it sooner. Thank you for your advice. Kramer in the Shower 88 says, if the guy is willing, yes, you can still be in the little girl's life forever. This is going to be up to him. You can talk it through with him, but you should take care of your living arrangements first. By the way, it's weary. Weary means tired. And OP responds, thank you, and I think he's willing for now, but I'm just terrified of the future. He's staying with family right now and Sarah has been back and forth with us. So I am going to try to pull it together and get a place to live and then try to talk to him about the long term. Thanks for the correction too. I'm a mess right now. Table for 9 says, I have 2 stepsons from a previous marriage. I loved them dearly like my own children, and I went through what you're going through now. It was horrifically painful, and my heart goes out to you. I'd try to stay in her life where you can, but be prepared for a fade-off when he moves on. 10 years have passed and my stepsons are adult and almost adult now. I send them birthday and Christmas cards every year and we are Facebook friends, but that's all now. Update. All of your comments were really appreciated and definitely helped me think. So for the last week, my ex has been staying with family when he's not at work and we have been sharing time with Sarah. We met up this weekend to talk about everything in our life plan. He basically said that he does still love me, but that his schedule is just not something that can change for him anytime soon. My ex works in a field that has him out of town for anywhere between 3 days to 3 weeks a month. The traveling is also pretty random. He could change things or not go, but he is a people pleaser and he is good at what he does. So he goes and I get lonely without him. I know that doesn't give me an excuse, but it's hard to be away from him so much. I am trying to be understanding and supportive because I do want to be with him and Sarah. We are going to look into counseling for us as a couple and also family counseling for the 3 of us. I also brought up the legal adoption of Sarah. I consider Sarah my child. We have a college fund for Sarah that we have both contributed to over the years. Anyway, I was shocked when he said he was thinking of the same thing. He said that no matter what happens with us as a couple, he always wants me to be a parental figure to Sarah. We had both hoped that someday I would adopt her. We just didn't see us breaking up or it becoming an issue. I am so glad we are on the same page about that. I am over the moon and we're going to meet with a lawyer on Friday to get the ball rolling on that. I am hoping that this relationship can be salvaged because I really do feel like I have a family with them. My number 1 priority throughout this has been Sarah, and I can't even explain how happy I am that I will get to be her parent legally. I know I won't be her mother, but I'm glad that we will be together no matter what.